and we're going to be talking about that with our guest today. He's JAVED RANA, who's a senior journalist. So, JAVED RANA Saab, now this new round of attacks between Israel and the Gaza and Islamic Jihad that's taking place, this just came out of the blue. They attacked and killed one of their senior commanders of Islamic Jihad, and then the Islamic Jihad retaliated. So would you like to just elaborate a bit on that, about what the situation is?
This is a bit of familiar pattern when it comes to Gaza.
Yeah.
Israel has been attacking Gaza population. They've been collectively punishing the entire population, and something they've been saying publicly that we want the Palestinians to know that they have consequences of what Israel called giving shelter to these terrorists.
Right.
Now, I think there's a bigger picture, and the bigger picture is earlier this pattern was more with Hamas, and there was almost three brief wars between Israel and Hamas. And you may recall back in 2008, Hamas came as an elected government, which unfortunately Israel did not recognize. And since then there onward, there have been many conflicts. It has been very old policy of Israel to assassinate top leaders. They've been killing Palestinian leaders. Even Yasser Arafat, according to different reports, was poisoned. And then Israel has been after the top leadership. And now in their own assessment, their policy of assassinating top leaders never worked. It turned out to be counterproductive. First, they thought that by assassinating the Hamas leadership, their top leaders, and before that there were many other Palestinian leaders, they thought they will be able to contain the resistance. That is not happening. Now, most recently there was a truce between Hamas and Israel, and it was brokered by Egypt. And again, Israel mistakenly thought that with that kind of truce, they would be able to neutralize resistance in Palestine. That did not happen. Then we have now Islamic Jihad, which is known to be far more hardliner as compared to Hamas. And you may recall, 15 years ago, Hamas was considered to be hardliner.
Right.
And then the Fatah was considered to be hardliner. You know, Israel has been changing the goalpost from one particular organization to another organization.
So as of the last 1 year, Hamas has tried to maintain a sort of a peace deal with Israel so that they can improve their economic situation. As we know, that territory, the Gaza Strip, now it's governed by Hamas since 2007. And like you were saying, they used to be previously the hardline militant group, and now they're governing the place as an official government. Previously they were the hardline group, and now it's Islamic Jihad, which was, Islamic Jihad has been there before, prior to Hamas, even then older organization.
But now it is more effective.
Now it's more active, right. So also just to put into perspective the situation of the Gaza Strip, which is very important to say now, Israel still controls its air, land and water, even though it's governed by Hamas, and Israel disengaged from Gaza in 2005. It's also dependent on Israel for water, electricity, telecommunications and its utilities, and also it's the third most densely populated area in the world, and it might be uninhabitable within a couple of years. People are not allowed to come or leave. They're sort of stuck in there, and the situation that they have, and also at the same time Israel has imposed a sea and air blockade. So the people there are really some of the worst
naval
suffering.
Block, air block, land block.
They're some of the worst suffering people in the world.
After Kashmir, Gaza is the biggest open-air prison in the world.
Yeah.
And I mean, in the past there have been many tunnels which different militant organizations, they managed to dig in because they need food supplies, they need medical supplies. As we speak now, there is a medical shortage in Gaza right now because of these attacks. They have strengthened the blockade of Gaza, and now there is no solution in sight. The trouble is that our Islamic countries, Arabs elsewhere, they are not going to go practical to help people in Gaza. In the past, some years back, Turkey did, shown some signs of being brave enough to take on Israel. But that again did not work. It is primarily because of the fact, as everybody knows, since Americans are backing Israel, so Islamic countries have not been able to help people in Palestine. At the heart of this entire conflict, obviously there has to be a settlement. Now Israel, I think, has gone public. They are saying they are not going to go for a two-state solution. And the very considered position of Pakistan and other Islamic countries, OIC, has always been, let there be a two-state solution pre-1967 war. Israel is not accepting it. And in the meanwhile, there are three major things have happened.
Can you elaborate on this two-state solution? Would it include the West Bank and Gaza being under
and
Palestinian
Jerusalem being the capital of the Palestinian?
Okay.
But the fact now, U.S. has recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. That indicates no longer Israel is going to pursue that pre-1967 war solution. They don't want any government, any state, a parallel state, because the fear is that once Palestinians are there as a state, they, from defense point of view, it will be bigger challenge for them. They are only attacking them with the rockets, though hardly few rockets actually fell on the ground, and there are not many injuries, but the panic in Israel is at a large scale. But again, the bigger picture that we were discussing, that Israel has a fear that if there is a two-state solution, there will be more attacks. It will be a state, a formal state. The other Islamic countries in the world, they are going to support that state, and Israel is going to be encircled strategically. So because of these apprehensions, Israel has backtracked from its indications that it may at some point accept two-state solution. So what is happening now? Unfortunately, Israel has a kind of governments over the period of time which is more extremist in its diplomatic postures, in its defense postures. It is not listening to the world opinion. It is not listening to the European Union. It is not listening to the UN Security Council resolutions like India. So I don't foresee any two-state solution. I foresee more violence. I foresee more militancy in Gaza, because when you are blocking people, when you are causing a food shortage, when you're causing shortage of medical supplies, when you are crippling the entire population, then there has to be a retaliation. That retaliation may be in form of these rocket attacks. Now, Israel, right from the day one, has been blaming Iran that it has been supporting all these militant groups. I think the, again, bigger picture is then Israel has been attacking what it calls hideouts of the militants in Syria. There have been attacks on the Iranian posts in Syria, according to Israel, and there were also attacks in Iraq. But that did not, again, contain the resistance in Gaza. They will have to come up with the solutions. And unfortunately, there were some solutions which, under President Donald Trump, the Washington came up with, and that was they wanted to relocate the entire population of Gaza to elsewhere, maybe in parts of Egypt. But again, these were just proposals. They wanted to reconstruct or construct new settlements. But that is not going to happen. It is not able to the Palestinians.
Exactly.
Since 1948, there have been more than 200 illegal settlements on the Palestinian land. Nobody is talking about it. Nobody is taking on Israel. Unfortunately, that is the replica of illegal settlement, and that is a kind of a template which now India is following in Kashmir. And both Israel and India are hands in glove. They are exchanging notes on how to suppress Muslims in Kashmir and Palestine. If you look at the UN Security Council resolutions, the nature of the dispute is similar. It requires a solution. It requires a solution as world wants, as the Palestinian wants, as the Islamic countries want. But Israel simply is not ready to listen. And the last point I want to make, which is extremely important, we talk about militancy, we talk about extremism. Why don't we talk about the extremism in Israel? They have an ideological agenda. And by that ideological agenda, they want to expand itself. Israel is the only country in the Middle East and perhaps in the world which all the time wants a war, which all the time attacks people, civilian population, it kills children, it kills unarmed women and civilian population.
And it's a humanitarian disaster
It is a
waiting to
humanitarian
happen
crisis.
in Gaza. At the
There are
moment.
UN reports time and again,
Right.
but again, nobody is listening it.
Right. Thank you so much, JAVED RANA. We've short of time at the moment, so thank you for joining us and giving us your input on this issue. Very, very enlightening indeed.